So the next talk will be by Dr. Parul Soni. Uh, can you share your screen, Dr. Parul?
Yeah,
She'll be
thank
delivering a talk on under and over diagnosis, which is very important question, whether the patients are underdiagnosed. A lot of patients are underdiagnosed. So these are patients who are missed out. And then there are patients who are actually a glaucoma suspect, and then we are treating them as glaucoma patients. So we are putting the burden of treatment as well as mental agony to the patient. So she'll be talking on under or over diagnosis, failures of machine, or the man behind the machine. Dr. Parul is my classmate, and she has basically graduated and post-graduated from RP Center, a bright student, and then did her fellowship from Pittsburgh Medical Care Center in the United States, and also FRCS Glasgow. And she has a lot of work in the best of hospitals in New Delhi, Medanta, Medicity, and Shroff, I know. And then she started her own concern, that is a complete eye care, to deliver whatever expertise she has acquired during a training period to the patients and to deliver the best of treatment protocol to the patients. She is also a reviewer of many international journals and author of book like OCT step-by-step optical coherence tomography. She has been practicing also a principal investigator in international trials, and she is one accomplished uh, refractive as well as cataract surgeon, but she has a lot of interest in glaucoma and glaucoma related problems of the patient. So may I invite Dr. Parul Soni to deliver a talk on under and over diagnosis, failure of machine or man behind the machine. Dr.
Thank
Parul,
you
please.
so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Vibhuti. And I would like to thank AIOS for doing a wonderful job and giving us this platform to share our experiences. And I think as Dr. Nilesh very correctly said, that glaucoma is something that we need to screen our patients for to prevent them from the irreversible blindness. And what we do in diagnosis and screening of glaucoma is we use a lot of machines, and we have investigations like the visual fields, the newer imaging modalities like the OCT, the HRT. And what I will be talking about, that how do we land up either underdiagnosing or overdiagnosing our patients of glaucoma using these machines if we solely rely on these machines. So I think Mr. Henry Ford very correctly said that for most purposes, a man with a machine is better than a man without a machine. And I think this holds true for glaucoma as well. And as we know that glaucoma diagnosis has multiple facets, and as Dr. Nilesh very correctly pointed out, that if we base our decisions solely on the intraocular pressures, we don't do gonioscopy, we don't do disc examination, we may miss upon a lot of patients of glaucoma. So we have in our armamentarium a number of things. We have visual fields, the disc examination, gonioscopy, and using all this, we diagnose glaucoma. And especially when we look at the continuum of the glaucoma, the imaging modalities have actually added a new dimension to glaucoma management, especially when we talk about the asymptomatic disease. Now, this is the stage when the machines like the OCT, the HRT, and the GDX can help us to pick up early glaucoma changes, the early nerve fiber layer changes. Now, the OCT has been a very well accepted tool, which was introduced way back in 1991 and has been very commonly used to diagnose and monitor our glaucoma patients. And in the last several years, our reliance on OCT to diagnose and to follow up glaucoma patients has increased tremendously, because several studies have shown that OCT depicted nerve fiber layer damage, the optic nerve head changes correlate very well with the glaucomatous changes clinically and as well as on perimetry. The OCT brings with us a number of advantages, and I think all of us are familiar with that. This is a wonderful imaging modality which allows us very easy image acquisition. It is very fast to use with, very user friendly, and it provides us with a lot of digital data which can easily be stored and compared when patients come for further future follow-ups. Now, when we look at the OCT printouts, they are beautifully color coded, not very difficult to understand. They have codes which are either in green colors, which means everything normal, or they have yellow or red areas, which mean the scan is abnormal. But as Dr. Vibhuti also mentioned, that artificial intelligence is stepping in almost every field of our life and also in the field of glaucoma. And a lot of innovations are happening in field of artificial intelligence and glaucoma. And I think very soon we are going to have some machines which will, take all the data from our clinical examination, from perimetry, from these imaging modalities, and we'll just need to simply input all the data and machine will tell us whether patient has glaucoma or not, what is the severity of glaucoma, how frequently do we need to follow up these patients. So when we question ourselves that do we need these machines, definitely we do need these machines, but are we relying on them a lot? So whenever we use we base all our diagnosis on the instruments or the machines, we have to remember that almost 50% of the patients are still undiagnosed, and we don't know that if they have glaucoma or not. And once we diagnose glaucoma, almost 50% of the patients are kind of medically overtreated, or they are being diagnosed as glaucoma who may not actually have glaucoma. So when we ask ourselves, are we overtreating or overdiagnosing, or are we undertreating or underdiagnosing? Actually, both. And especially when we talk about the optical coherence tomography or any other such machines, and when we are relying on these machines a lot, we conveniently forget that each of these machines have their own specificity and sensitivity, which is not 100%. So the machines are not 100% performing, and they can err sometimes. We always talk about that humans are, but we have to understand that machines are not perfect and they can have their own artifacts. Now, there has been a wonderful article which was published by Dr. Sanjay Asrani, who has done a lot of work in the OCT with respect to glaucoma, which talks about all the artifacts of OCT whenever you are diagnosing a patient of glaucoma. And almost up to 115 to 45% of patients of the OCT scans can have some kind of artifacts which we have to be aware of. And this is what I will be talking about. So with OCT, what you can have is sometimes you can either end up misdiagnosing a case, that means a red disease, or sometimes you can miss the diagnosis of glaucoma on OCT if you have a green printout and you think that everything is normal, and sometimes patient can actually have glaucoma. Now, to elaborate onto the red disease, what does red disease mean? The red disease means that patient has a red looking OCT printout, which is actually a false positive. That means printout is looking red and values are looking lower than what they should be, but patient in reality does not have glaucoma. Now, there could be a lot of reasons why one can have a red OCT printout. The most important cause is an improperly acquired scan, which could be because of a lot of factors. Now, just to give you an example, now what the machine does, it basically calculates the retinal nerve fiber layer using a segmentation algorithm or an edge detection algorithm. So if the signal strength is not proper, just to give you an example, now this was a one-eyed patient with 0.6 cupping. The visual field and pressures were normal. We did a OCT just to rule out the retinal nerve fiber layer changes. The poor signal strength gave rise to the segmentation errors, and you could see a red looking OCT in this particular quadrant. So we repeated a scan, the signal strength was improved, and the red OCT then became a green OCT. So we have to be careful in these particular patients. Please reacquire a scan, do a proper focus, as scan quality does affect the final retinal nerve fiber layer thickness measurements. Now, another thing which can happen with the optic nerve head examination, what the machine does, it detects the RP endpoints, and this is how it identifies the contour of the optic nerve head. Again, to give you a clinical example, we had a patient who was a glaucoma suspect with nerves looking something like this. We went ahead, ordered a OCT. The right eye parameters looked all normal, but if you look at the nerve fiber layer the nerve head parameters on the left side, they all looked abnormal. So what was going wrong in this particular case? If you carefully dig a little deeper and you see the nerve measurement was 2.63 on the right side with OCT versus a 1.6, which is much smaller disc, though clinically the discs were almost normal on both the sides. So what was happening, if you see these RPE endpoints, I don't know whether the screen is visible, the RPE endpoints were not identified properly with the machine. So what we did, we recharted the RPE endpoints, and to our surprise, the nerve which was looking absolutely abnormal on the initial scan turned absolutely normal. So we have to be careful that the OCT can sometimes make a normal scan look abnormal, and you have to be careful in these patients. Some other technical errors could happen because of the movements which are happening when you are acquiring scan. For example, microsaccadic movements, which can lead to loss of data. Blinks can again lead to loss of data and can give rise to red looking OCT. And in reality, patient does not have glaucoma. Another thing which could happen, if you're not properly aligning the scan, you can have these truncation errors in which the data on the top part is lost and can again give rise to a red looking OCT. Now, vitreous opacities, you have to be careful again, because this can also lead to loss of data and a red looking OCT. So apart from these acquisition errors, sometimes patients do have the nerve fiber layer problem, which is not glaucomatous. So if they have myopic disc, they have large areas of peripapillary atrophy, or they have optic atrophy because of some reasons, all these can give rise to a red looking OCT. For example, in myopes with large areas of peripapillary atrophy, one can have loss of segmentation algorithm, and you have red looking OCT. Why red OCT is important, red disease is important, because if we base our diagnosis solely on the OCT printout, a red printout always does not mean glaucoma, and we should be correlating all these cases clinically, which is very important. On the other hand of the red, green disease, which actually means a false negative. Now, green disease means the patient has a green looking OCT, but in actually he can have glaucoma. Now, when can this happen? Now, this can happen if patient has large areas of epiretinal membrane, which is again making the algorithm, segmentation algorithm does not perform it in its 100%, and you can have a green looking OCT. Apart from this, very small focal defects can also be missed. Therefore, you have to look at the scan carefully rather than
interrupt,
global
ma'am.
parameters.
Time is up. Can I request you to please sum up?
I will. So when we, just to summarize, we have to keep in mind the red and the green disease, and we have to be on alert if it is not matching with the clinical findings of the patient. Whenever we are using these machines, we have to tell ourselves that we have to look at the entire printout and not just one or two numbers. We have to train our optom that he should be aware of the artifacts and teach him to reacquire a scan. And at the end, I would like to say that OCT provides us with valuable information, but we have to understand that we have to integrate the clinical, the perimetric, and the structural finding all together in order to diagnose the jigsaw of glaucoma, and do not base our diagnosis mainly on the OCT. And my husband is a neurosurgeon, and I love this quote. Dr. Lexell, who was a renowned neurosurgeon, once said that a fool with a tool is still a fool. So whenever we acquire these machines, it is our mind which has to act behind these machines, and don't let these machines overrule our decisions. And there is no substitute for a good clinical judgment. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Dr. Vibhuti, sir, you are on mute.
Thank you, Dr. Parul, for this nice elaborative talk on failures of machine if they are not properly used. One question which comes to our mind, usually the underdiagnosis is a kind of missed chance, but overdiagnosed patients, those patients who are on medications due to overdiagnosis, if they have to be reverted back to a category of like a glaucoma suspect or a patient without any glaucoma suspicion changes, how do we proceed in such cases? Like if a patient has been diagnosed somewhere else with glaucoma and put on medications, it's really difficult to return back and counsel the patient that medications need to be removed from his armamentic, from his protocol. So how do we proceed in such cases?
Dr. Vibhuti, this is a very good question, because most of the time what happens when patients have these scans done at some other centers, a lot of patients, I would say, 10% of my practice, I'll have patients who are diagnosed as glaucoma who does not actually have glaucoma. So I think it requires a lot of chair time to counsel these patients that, a red OCT or a red imaging does not actually mean glaucoma. And you have to be really take a brave front and tell them that we do a perimetry, we do a pressure charting, we pull them off medication. And if everything seems stable, we'll put them in the category of glaucoma suspect rather than putting them on drops and compromising on their quality of life. So actually you need to sit with the patient, explain to them in great details that what is happening and can we think of stopping the drop and take a fresh look at glaucoma.
Thank you. Dr. Ravi, do you want to add something to that from your experience?
What usually I do is I just tell them the patients, many times these patients are on multiple drops. So let's tell them that let us see if we can reduce one drop and let's check your pressure after 3 weeks, what happens. Once they're convinced, okay, after 3 weeks pressure is normal, I tell them, see, your pressure is still in the normal range with less drop. Shall we try one more drop? Because if initially we tell them that you are not having glaucoma and suspecting, in the end if the pressure goes up, then there is a problem. So I take a very safe pathway. I tell them, let's try to reduce one drop, maybe the lowest potency once I reduce, and recheck the pressures after 3 weeks. And if I am successful, then I reduce the next drop, and then the next step another drop. And in around 2 months or so, we see that patient is either on one drop or without drop. And that time I do a day DVT, or if it is possible to do a 24 hours DVT. If we get all the pressures in normal range, then I tell the patient that, see, all your reports are within normal limit, your pressures are also normal without drops. Let's follow you up every 2 months. And then slowly, I wean them off the drops and also increase their duration of checkup.
Rightly said. And we have to, as mentioned by Dr. Parul, we have to do a proper baseline evaluation and then build up on that during the follow-up time.